Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman Carol Shea-Porter, member of the Armed Services Committee. Nice to have you with me. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I know, first up, you opposed military action in Syria. So this deal on the table today, what's your reaction to it?
Well, again, I'm very hopeful, and I want to thank the President and Secretary Kerry and the arms negotiators and everybody who was involved in bringing us to this point. Of course, you know, we have to verify. We know that Assad has lied before in the past. But I do feel optimistic now that we've got so many parties engaged in this. And so, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But the timelines are very important right now to make sure that Assad plans to do what he said he's going to do.
Ma'am, do you have a clear sense, as you think of the logistics here, of how all these chemical weapons can be gathered up in total and destroyed? I mean, visualizing how this will happen. Is that clear to you?
Well, it is obviously going to be difficult, and a lot has to be hammered out, but we have an organization, OPCW, that's been doing this for many other places. Also, if you look at the logistics of launching airstrikes, that's difficult also. So while we know that this is going to be a great challenge and it requires cooperation on every level, I still believe that we can do this.
How about Syria? Do you think Syria can be trusted completely to comply?
Well, I am at this point saying that Putin also has credibility on the line. So I'm sure that he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Syria and on Assad to come forward, because each one of our leaders has taken a chance on Assad, and so now he needs to perform.
Okay, in terms of punishment, though, for what has gone before, Assad gives up his stockpile, but there's no real punitive measures in what we've seen so far. So how does this deal enforce the international norms against the use of chemical weapons?
Well, first of all, we know tragically that has been violated before, so we know that we really need to step up the political pressure on all parties. And there's no reason that we can't at some point punish Assad. You know, this doesn't say that this will never happen if he continues to strike out at his people. But we know right now that what we really want to be focusing on is getting those chemical weapons, providing humanitarian aid to the people that have been affected by this, and working for a political solution all around. So nobody doubts that Assad is murderous and has committed great crimes.
Right. In fact, the word murderous reminds me that in a hearing this week, you actually called Assad murderous and evil. Yesterday, we had Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, quoted as saying that Assad is guilty of crimes against humanity. So overall, does this seem like a proportional response?
Well, it's an important one. You know, we know the other alternative were airstrikes, and I was greatly concerned about taking a situation that was already chaotic and creating even more chaos there. So this is the option that we have, and it's a good one, and I hope that Assad decides to listen to the United States and listen to Russia and understand that this is over in terms of his weapons.
All right, Congresswoman Shea-Porter, I want to ask you while I have you here about some domestic issues, because, of course, the situation in Syria has really taken away the focus from the fiscal crisis we have here at home. This week, the House canceled a vote on a spending bill because it did not cut funding to Obamacare. There could be a government shutdown if we don't get a spending bill by the end of this month. Will you get a deal in time?
Well, I don't know. That's really up to Speaker Boehner and his party. You know, the Tea Party has been causing a great deal of difficulty within the Republican Party, and we don't control the floor of the House. It is up to the Speaker to bring something that's acceptable. And when they tried to, as you know, a number of the Tea Party prevented it, so he doesn't have the votes right now. I certainly hope so. We stand ready to compromise and work with the Speaker and work with the moderate Republicans there, who know that it would be devastating to shut the government down. Highly irresponsible and devastating to the economy and to businesses and to people who are relying on government programs. So it'd be a disaster, and it is their responsibility to find a solution and bring it to us.
Well, on the heels of your strong rhetoric and your assessment of the possibility here, do you think the President would really follow through on his threat to veto any spending bill that cuts health care funds, even if it means a government shutdown?
Well, I don't think it will ever get there, because it's a law. The problem that the Republican Tea Party has is understanding that this is actually the law. And so now what we should be working on is implementing it, fixing the parts that we want to improve, etc. But to keep trying to replay the 4-year-ago legislation doesn't make any sense to anybody, including the American public who's watching this very closely right now.
All right. New Hampshire Democratic Congresswoman Carol Shea-Porter, thank you for your time.